There's a couple. How much time is there?
We've roughly got 5 minutes. Jason, obviously, tonight, he'll be here. If you guys would like to start just maybe make comment. Okay with that? I'll give you a moment to do it. This is a discussion that takes a resolution to a meeting to make it happen. It's council luckily, I actually chance to talk to
I really do like Linda. You're so persistent. But I hear about the different iterations of different things. Let's try to outline good manners. She's sweet. He's got
and then there's another one, the one that they took out.
More of that.
Before it's going on, do it today or something. That's what she was going over there. She made sure that they stopped.
Yes, absolutely.
Our protections here. I think it ought to be mandatory. Police has representation here. I come from work and I can't have it done at work. If I had time to go home, I go and do it before I come here.
Yeah, because you never know when somebody decides to open up.
Oh, yeah. I hope this is bold.
It is.
Is it? I just got to make sure I get behind you when they start shooting.
Who?
Because Andy is a
Why not? Just got to get down on the floor. This is bulletproof.
Hey, Carl.
Nobody. I'm just saying. Have you ever watched it? There's a couple of videos out there. Somebody just went in and said Salesman just opened up.
MOU?
You can't even, some people can't even go to church.
It's nothing. I don't even know if it's signed. I mean, who put that together?
And because I work for the church, I can't get.
Well, no, it was the Attorney General.
Does this require a roll call vote?
For real?
For real.
Even though you've got.
Does he get sworn in?
Just because I'm a church employee and that's church property, I cannot have a gun on church property because I'm not a sworn peace officer.
If somebody,
You, they can nail you for trespassing, me, they can terminate my appointment.
They just call them rules.
let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody out tonight. Okay, it's good to have a big group, obviously some family. We're excited about the family being here. So we do want to welcome you. I just wanted to, if we can, give us at least a roll call on who's here. We have Councilmember Paul, Councilmember Saxton, Councilmember Tafoya, Councilmember Yeoman, and we've excused Councilmember Burrell. We're going to ask Councilmember Paul to go ahead and lead us in a moment of silence and then draw upon the Pledge of Allegiance. In this case, Troop 365 has indicated they'd like to support us. So we appreciate you being here. Councilmember Paul?
All right, if you'll please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, we've got Troop 365 in the house to help us with our Pledge of Allegiance. I had the opportunity of meeting with them last Wednesday. Energetic group of young men, very concerned about how the city's going. They entertained me for about an hour and a half with questions on how the city's going and things that we can do differently and do better. So here's potentially our future leader. So if you'll take over, Troop 365, for the Pledge of Allegiance, I appreciate it.
What we need is just one of you, if you would, just step up here and just direct the audience. There you go. Thank you.
Just right there at the podium.
Right there at the podium.
Call guard attention. Audience, please rise. Scout salute. Those not in uniform, please place your right hand over your heart. Color guard forward march. Color guard halt. Color guard post colors.
Let him get up here first.
Color guard post colors. Please repeat the pledge allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard dismissed. Audience may be seated.
Great job, gentlemen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we've just got a couple of business things we want to jump into first and get them behind us. These are consent items. The approval of December 18th Royse City Council meeting minutes and the January 8th, 2019 Royse City Council special meeting minutes. And then we also want to get approval on the request for approval of the sale of surplus materials. Those are the two elements, correct? Okay, do I have a motion to approve these consent items?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Now we have an interesting opportunity that doesn't happen very often. We have an opportunity to basically appoint a new city manager. So with that, how about if I turn the time over to Matt, if you'd like? Or would Jason, the current city manager, about ready to be released as city manager, like to step up? I think I seen his smiling face there somewhere. There he is. Okay.
What would you like me to do, Mayor?
Well, I'd just like you to tell all the people that you did some interesting things, and we'd like to tell you what we think about you. And then, if you don't mind, we'd like to then just make it official and take a vote on the new city manager. So, Jason, any thoughts as you make this change in your career?
Wasn't expecting this, but
Don't get emotional on us.
yeah, no, I'm good. I think I've cried all that I'll cry. But
Step up to the mic, we can't all hear you.
okay, I'll get back at him in just a few minutes.
I made it rough on him all day, so he's kind of doesn't know what he's in for.
Yeah, it's been a little busy today.
save this for later. Thanks, Steve. Mayor, council, what a great pleasure and honor it has been to serve Royce City for the last year and a half. Like Mayor mentioned, we've done a lot in 2018, and I know that it'll continue with Matt at the helm. He's very qualified. He's the right man for the job. I think he looks really good in a suit, and I think that should be a normal attire for every day. And all the employees, we had a little luncheon yesterday. It was awesome. Public Works cooked a great meal. Thanks to Public Works for Ross for setting it up. And I've mentioned many times, I've had awesome department heads, and I've had a great city employees to help me along the way. It was really never one person in charge. It was kind of all of us, and we just all kind of got the job done. So super team effort, and super proud to be a Royce City employee. I love Royce City. I've been here 20 years, and I'd like to still be here, maybe not 20 more, but maybe 10 or 15. But Mayor, good working with you for a year and a half. Council members, we work closely and work every day. I think Matt asked me yesterday or the day before, so how many times will you talk with the city council members? And I says every day. Sometimes it doesn't shut off at 5, but that's just what we get. But honestly, Dave and Carlene, I know Jan's not here, Brian and Joe, it's been a pleasure to serve you, and it's just been a great honor. So you're in great hands. Appreciate everything you've done for me, and hopefully good luck in the future.
Thank you. Council, comments?
Guess I'll start. Gosh, I'm going to get emotional. You were the right man for the job to take us from a time when the city's morale was down, and we were in a situation that we needed to bring it back up and to move us in the right direction. And we picked the right person to be able to lead us there. And you kind of took the ball and you ran with it. And I'm not kidding, ran with it. If anybody knows Jason, he doesn't have a turn off button. Mm-hmm. He is constantly go, go, go. And I think that enthusiasm and that willingness to keep pushing all of us as council, as department heads, to try to do our best to improve every aspect of our city is a credit to you. We've done a lot, like you said, and accomplished a lot in this last year. And that is at your helm that you helped us to achieve. I know that the city's in great hands, and I think that Matt has a good opportunity to continue what Jason has put in place for us. I appreciate everything on a personal standpoint. I appreciate everything that you have taught me, that you have helped and guide me, to give me great insight. And I hope that that friendship can continue even after this when you're in a different position. But again, thank you for all the work and effort that you did for the city and the citizens of Roy.
Thanks, Carly.
Well said. Council?
I'd just like to second what Carlene said. It's been an honor to work with you, and it's been fun. I appreciate your insights to the city and willing to move it forward. You'll always be the king.
Okay. Anybody else?
I don't even know where to
Do you want a
begin.
hug, Saxton?
No, I don't. No hugs, man. No hugs. Matter of fact, that is the last advice I will have given you on your gift here is no hugs, please, man. No, I want to thank you. I mean, I was new to the whole inner city sanctum thing, and you were patient, and you've always taken my calls, and you took one last night, probably, what, 7 p.m. And I want to thank you for just being a friend.
Yeah, welcome.
One day they're going to write a song about that. No, wait, they have. Anyway, but just thanks. Thanks for your leadership. Thanks for your patience. And, you know, I hope to see you around the bend.
Okay.
Comment, Dave?
Yeah, you might as well start crying because I'm not going to stop till you do.
Yeah. It's close.
Hey, we've been doing this a long time. You know that. Okay? And I'm very proud of you for everything that you've done and accomplished in this. I'm going to call it a short amount of time. It's been a year and a half, but it's a lot more than anybody else before you ever did. And it's a great thing for what you did, not only for the community, but mostly for the people that work for us as Royse City. You represented them so well, and you should be very proud of that, and I'm proud of that. And you are a great man. You can do whatever you want it to do and what you set your mind to. You've proven that. And again, we are so lucky to have you here and have you done what you did for us, all right? And whatever your future holds, be it a fireman or an administrator at some city, you are always going to be top-notch. And you know that you can do it, and I'm proud of you and always back you in doing those things.
Well said. Jason, a couple of things. You have an opportunity to take this home with you, and I think however you might want to display this, it surely is reflective in terms of something that we have witnessed over the last few months. And we actually, although we took it for granted, it is definitely something you earned as city manager. So please take that with you. But second, if you would, we'd like to have you have this. And I appreciate Morgan working this piece because I think it's indicative. A lot of people in the city signed the back of it. You can't see it, but just recognize the fact is it's there. But it says, truly great bosses is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget. That's pretty powerful. And I think that's indicative of who you are. So well done, okay? You made a difference. So come up if you don't mind. Let's provide this to you and shake a man's hand.
We're done, Dan.
Just be prepared for it.
Please.
Oh, yeah. Might even get a kiss out of this one.
Can we get one more round of applause?
You're not done yet.
Oh, yes. Let me just take a second if I can. I'd like to introduce you to our new city manager. Typically, I sit at the mic, so I'm going to speak up a little bit. Matthew Andrews, okay? I have not met a more patient and level-headed person as Matt. You will find in your conversations with him, he's very open-minded. He looks at things from a lot of different perspectives. He doesn't get really too emotional, so it is an emotion that drives him, okay? As much as he looks for data, he looks for facts, he looks for the information, and he makes sound decisions. And if I can then, Matt, please join us. And I will ask the council then if you would for me, okay? I ask that you approve then Matt Andrews as our next city manager. You'll have a motion to approve Matt to the city manager?
I make a motion, we approve Matt Andrews as our new city manager.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Matt, please come. Morgan, would you mind reading then? Okay. Perfect. solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
It's the American way, buddy.
Let's see if we can get a picture.
Jason and Matt on the side. Okay. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Things are good.
Thank you. Matt, please introduce your family.
I got a lot of people here actually, so. First off, my beautiful wife, Crystal, and my 4 children, Kingston, Ruby, Stella, and Delilah. My mom and dad, Dan and
you,
Christine.
Stand up when we
Yeah.
introduce
Okay,
and we get to meet the
everybody stand
family.
up. Dan and Christine Andrews,
Okay.
longtime residents of Roy. My older sister, Michelle Dick, and my older sister, Marie Mivas. And then I have my in-laws here, Scott and Vicky Toon, also
Okay.
longtime residents of Roy.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So,
Thank you. And thank you for allowing us to share your husband and your son, okay, in this, this important assignment. And by the way, it's great to see you again. Okay. Welcome, Matt. Great to have you. Okay, we've got a couple of things we want to do. We'd like then is to approve then as the Mayor Pro Tem Council. We'd like to approve then Councilmember Tafoya to be the, for the 2019, the Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a motion, okay, to approve him?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. Thanks, Dave, for taking that assignment. Okay. Also, you have a listing of the liaison assignments. I want to do these in 2 separates, if you don't mind. The liaison assignments plus some other committee assignments that we have. You have a list of those. Do I have a motion to approve those liaison assignments?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, now we have Resolution 19-1, a resolution amending the Business Advisory Board Committee. Council, let me just indicate to you is that we need to make this a slight adjustment from the last approval so that we can get enough candidates to support it. We now have 10. Even another gentleman came in today indicating he has an interest. So it looks like we do have enough candidates now under this current, or this hopefully approved resolution. I ask for approval to approve Resolution 19-1, a resolution to amend the Business Advisory Committee.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and approve resolution number 19-1, amending the Business Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton,
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman,
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya.
Aye.
Thank you.
Carries.
Perfect. Now, with that then, I'm just looking for a vote of approval to appoint then the Business Advisory Committee members, and you were provided a list of those members who indicated they'd really like to help us in terms of this committee. So with that, do I have a motion then to approve the appointment of the Business Advisory Committee members as written?
Mayor, I have one question with
Please.
that. Is there a certain time frame, or is there a term that they are appointed to? Is it going to change every year?
That's
Is
a good
it just-
question. It was never stated in the guidance in terms of how long, but it,
In the first resolution, it was.
Okay,
okay.
It was a
I didn't see it.
3 years?
3-year
Okay.
term? Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
didn't
for
see it
that
in there.
remind.
Yeah.
Okay, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and appoint the Business Advisory Committee members as they were written.
Perfect. Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll get that started. And council, we have Resolution 19-2, a resolution establishing the Roy City Adopt a Trail program. Travis, you'd like to talk a little about that before we take a vote?
Absolutely. Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, thanks for having us here tonight. This is a program that was recommended by the Beautification Committee. And in a sense, what it is we are going to ask local organizations to adopt sections of the trail to help us clean them, to help us maintain them, and make them as nice as possible. What this resolution would do is it would allow my team and my department to select that group of individuals and work with them, assigning them sections of the trail and things like that. The resolution is specific only for the trail, so there's no other powers outside of it, but it would just put the decision-making of those groups in my department.
Okay. Comments, council? Okay, seeing none, then do I have a motion to approve Resolution 19-2, a resolution establishing the Roy City Adopt a Trail program?
Motion for approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Joe.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Tafoya,
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman,
Aye.
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton.
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks,
you.
Travis. Okay, moving right along. Resolution 19-3, a resolution for the the City of Roy, Utah regarding Utah housing needs. If you remember, recently in a council meeting, we had a discussion, a presentation that talked about affordable housing. This resolution is to kind of just let the public know that we are supportive of looking at opportunities for affordable housing. Okay, any comments or questions about that? Okay, do I have a motion then to approve?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve resolution number 19-3, resolution for Roy City regarding our Utah housing needs.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Saxton,
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya,
Aye.
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, got through the business, got a new city manager in play, we're excited. Now we're open for public comments. This is an opportunity for you. If you have a comment or thought or idea, please step up to the mic, give us your name and address, and then let us know what you're thinking.
My name is Jerry Williams, 5663 South, 3600 West. Mayor, council members, I just have a question. I was here a month ago or so about the what I call an obstacle in my road. I noticed today they put a light up in there. So does that mean we're going forward with this, or have we made a decision yet on these obstacles on all the other roads yet? That's my question, I guess.
I can't speak for how the council, I'll let them speak for themselves,
Okay.
but from a mayor perspective, we only did that in reference to bring visibility to that obstacle as you defined it, that calming circle. There has been no decision at this point to move any further until we get the data to support whether it's working or not. I will tell you, Jerry, that we have been getting a lot of complaints about that particular that circle to the extent that it's probably the most complained about thing I think I have witnessed since coming into office. There's some concerns. Even one recently, there was some problems in terms of when there was ice on the ground, just getting around it almost created some accidents in it itself. I think we're still in the evaluation process, and to be honest with you, I think we still need the data before we decide what we're going to do, if anything, with that or proceed in the city with that. So that's my perspective. I'll let the council speak for themselves.
I know there was a couple of concerns, being able to navigate it with a school bus. I've witnessed a couple of school buses navigate it, making a proper left-hand turn around it, and was able to do it. I watched a person pulling probably a 27-foot snowmobile trailer navigate it, making a left-hand turn properly. I noticed we still have quite a few people making illegal left-hand turns in front of it, which is creating a problem because it almost creates a head-on collision. There are signs that tell people how to navigate it. I will be honest with you, Jerry, the problem that's created on that road is created by the people that live in that neighborhood. They choose to disobey the law And so the city's got to do something about it. I've actually seen it make a difference. The traffic engineer's seen it make a difference, and so's Public Works. If I had to vote, and it may not be popular, I'd vote to continue to use them. That may cost me my job in the future. I'm worried about the safety of the people that live on that street. Not whether it's easy for people to pull a trailer or not. I don't know why you'd want to pull a trailer and make a left-hand turn in front of that and go out to 3,500 that way. Go out to 6,000 to where you have a stoplight, or go out to 5,600. Is it an inconvenience? Yeah. So will speed bumps be. And we've been told that four-way stops aren't effective.
I would tend to disagree with the four-way stop being ineffective. I don't know how you can be ineffective when you stop a vehicle completely. I think you're going to have the same people. I was told by your engineer that the reason is because it would make people mad, and then when they took off, they would take off really fast.
I already see him do that in the traffic circle.
That happens in life everywhere you go. You have people that are just aggressive, angry people, and they're going to take off, whether it's at our stop sign or it's at the stop sign down the road. It's just the way life is. Nothing you can do about that unless you have an officer there every minute. You can't. I mean, the police officers are overworked now. So I think that you guys even admitted that there's been some problems, illegal left turns. It's an obstacle. You've created it. Sorry, that's how I feel about it. So thank you for your input. I hope you get the data you need, but as far as I'm concerned, I still think it's just an obstacle that causes people to break the law.
Jerry, let me speak on the subject for you. I mean, it's something new that we tried. Okay. There's going to be trial and errors whenever we do a traffic control device. I'm going to call it North Park because we did many times with this. We did a temporary speed bump. We did a permanent speed bump. We ended up with stop signs. It's a three-way stop. But it's a trial and error. And our main objective is to make sure traffic flow is safe for the residents in the neighborhood. So I'm going to guarantee you that there will be some sort of traffic control device. Yeah. Okay, it might be this mini circle, it might be something else, but we're going to do our best effort to find out what works best for those neighborhoods in that area.
Thank
okay?
you.
So
That's
like
all I
as the
can
mayor
ask.
said, trial and error, gather the data, see what's good. Something might not work, something might work better than that, but something will happen, but whatever it will be, we'll make sure it's the best for the area, the best that we see fit. Okay?
Thank you. That's
That's
all I can ask. I hope it's a stop sign, and as just a comment, another comment, I just hope that we don't let pride get in our way. Sometimes when people have an idea, they're too prideful to say it's a mistake and change.
It wasn't my idea, though, just remember that.
I'm just saying. Right. You know, sometimes even experts, I mean, because I was quoted last time that these experts said this, well, it looks good on paper, and a lot of times experts, you got to remember, even in climate change, we have experts that say we are responsible for climate change, and we also have experts that say we're not. So it's the same thing in traffic. Right. Sometimes we have experts that say this, other experts may say something different. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Okay, anybody else like to share a thought? Your name and address?
Jason Polson, 5051 South, 1900 West, Fire Station. Just one thing real quick.
It's a different one, an actual.
You just got a blank piece of paper, didn't you?
So, Mayor and Council, if I can, we tried to hide this in the agenda a little bit, put it in the public comment section. If I could have Steve and all of the Public Works and Parks and Rec people kind of come up in front, if I can, for just a sec.
Where are they leading them? Where do you want them?
Oh.
So, all of these employees have suggested that we do something with our Public Works building. And our Public Works building basically is just the Roy City Public Works Building. There is no name. However, we are going to change that name to S. Ross Oliver Public Works Building. His employees were very passionate, especially one of them, and I think it's great. I think it's fitting for the name of the building. If I could have Ross come stand up next to me. Dave, you got this going today. Ross loves me, he really does. On August 24th, and this is help from Tanya, so Tanya, thanks a million. August 24th, 1990, Ross was hired full-time in building maintenance. May 11th, 1996, what does that say? Promoted to Public Works Water Foreman. July 19th, 1997 to Maintenance Tech 1. In 99, Maintenance Tech 2. And in 2000 to Foreman. 2007, Building Maintenance Superintendent. In 2008, Deputy Director of Public Works. And in August of 2008, and still the Public Works Director for 11 years. There's been a lot of worry about doing this now, especially from his sweet wife. She says, well, maybe this will put him into retirement. I says, no, he's guaranteed us at least a couple more years. And then Councilmember Saxton, what did you want Ross to do? I can't remember what you told me yesterday. Was it 3 years? So he's got to commit to 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got at least, just shake my hand. Okay, great, 3-year commitment. But well-deserved. He's done a lot for Public Works and Parks and Rec and the city in general. I'll just retell a story real quick about Ross and I several years ago. Ross was quite a prankster. I was at the fire station, and it was like 4:30, 5 in the morning. They get there really early. He came into the station, with the 5-gallon bucket of ice, and he went into one bedroom, and the captain said, don't even think about it. Jason's next door. So he goes next door and dumps 5 gallons of ice on me in a deep sleep. And that's just the kind of guy Ross is. We don't talk about the day before. So Ross, this is what it'll look like. Public Works, thanks a million. Okay, I see it, Fulton, thanks. So now the time is yours.
I feel like there's a lot of other people more deserving of this. I can't talk, and I hate Jason now, so.
I'm just glad you're not dying or retiring, because that's normally when we do this.
I know,
So
I thought there was an intervention, or I was getting whacked or something, I didn't know.
we'll keep you as long as we can keep you.
Oh, I like it. Council, comments, feelings. I will indicate to you, it will take a resolution to make this official, but if this body believes that this is the best interest of the city and surely indicative of the contribution that Mr. Ross has provided to this great city, then we can request collectively the city to develop a resolution for our next meeting to make it formal. So, but please, comments?
Ross, this is all happening because of the great work that you did, but also the love and support of all these people that are employed by you, that work for you. And that's a testament to a man to know that these many people care this much about you, to want to make this honor for you happen. And I'm proud to make it happen, but you're doing a great job. Keep doing it. I'm not going to hold you to 3 years. But
I've got the greatest employees.
yeah, It's spectacular work that you do, great leadership that you provide these group of people, and you're doing a fantastic job, and we're so proud of you.
This is a great accomplishment and a great honor when you know that a building is going to be named after you that's going to be here in the city for a long time. That just shows the kind of character and integrity that you have to be able to do what you've done with the city for so many years. I mean, I've worked with you almost as long, and you're very respectful and respected throughout the city and with all of your employees. I think every one of them can attest to what you have taught them and what a great leader that you've been in your department. And this honor is very well deserved, and we hope that this doesn't mean that you are leaving soon, but we do appreciate everything that you've done for the city.
I appreciate the passion you've exhibited for the city. I think I met you probably about 15 years ago in another capacity where I was providing a service for the city, and I could tell then you were a man of integrity and concerned about the city, and I've seen that since I've been here, and I appreciate that.
Just 3 more years. Really.
Russ, let me make one comment if I can. You know, and I'm echoing a little bit of what Dave suggested. There's probably not better flattery that comes from an opportunity that's just been presented here when the people who basically you have an honor to work with bring this kind of an action, okay, to the council. That doesn't happen every day. It's indicative, I think, of how much they respect the nature of your leadership, and more importantly, the character by which you are. And if you walk away from this, the name will be there. Okay, that's almost sounds like it's evident. But never forget who made that happen. That's pretty powerful. Well done.
Thank you.
Great.
Good question to ask.
Good public. One last question, Ross, before we are now all contemplating in terms of what does the S stand for in your name? Stewart. Okay.
Is it a family name? You named it. Oh.
Okay. So we have the opportunity now for the last 3 years to call you Stewart. Thank you again, and thanks for your team. Okay, what an incredible opportunity. Oh, yeah, by the way, Ross, we are doing opportunities to introduce family. I assume you have some family members here today. Would you mind sharing their names with us?
My wife, Tammy. My son, Timmy. My wife, Jody. Steve left.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, okay? This is a remarkable opportunity we witnessed. Okay, we have a discussion item to talk about salary survey. City Manager, you want to share some thoughts on this subject?
So hopefully this is a non-emotional subject. Been having a couple of those tonight. Oh, we did not go out of, okay. We've seen this kind of pop up in the last couple of months, and I kind of wanted to give a little bit more broad history of why we are where we are right now. As you guys know, that a lot of this information I'll be repetitive in, but last year we decided as a mayor and council and as a city administration to do an independent salary survey We hired a company in out of Provo, and they came in and they looked at the job descriptions, and they weighted those job descriptions and basically gave us a working document that we can take in and out cities of our comparable size to come up with a competitive salary for each position within the city. We did that, and it came back, and it looked like there were some areas of improvement, but we all kind of agreed that we weren't wanting to rate ourselves against people like Salt Lake, mainly the Salt Lake Valley, Provo, and so we started whittling this information down and got more into Weber County and to cities of our size, and it looked like we were pretty comparable. The point of my discussion, though, is saying that this is a pretty subjective topic. We are not like any other city, and if we want to be comparable to Ogden, we have to be like Ogden. We have to have the funding of Ogden. To be like Layton, same. We are Roy City, and we have our competitive advantages as well over other cities. So with that all aside, there's some disadvantages to that as well. The way the worksheet works is a regression analysis to compare multiple data points to come up with these wages. What that does is compare people over in the fire department, maybe with the people in the police department, and it makes everything kind of fit together. Some could argue that that would bring down wages in some areas and maybe up in other areas. Therefore, we started looking out a little bit broader and trying to build averages. But we do have a glaring problem right now is the fire department's losing individuals. Jeff and I have had many of conversations before today about this, and Jeff came to us as the management services director, and Jason is the city manager, of what he feels needs to be competitive. So with this discussion tonight, it's a lot more complex than we're making it out. If we want each department head to go out and try to survey this information, it's a very timely process. I would like to have another follow-up meeting, more in a work session, to where we can just talk freely about this topic, because we need to define what is competitive and what is Roy. And I think that would be the best setting for all of this. So what I would hope for is in a couple of minutes I'm going to discuss a meeting next week, but the main person is going to be out of town, and Chief Como has a Chiefs conference. So I'd like to postpone it till our next council meeting and just do it after council on February 5th, if that works for all of you guys, and just do a mini work session and be able to talk openly about these topics.
Okay, and who are you looking to bring into the work session? You want all department heads with us, council, or just council?
Yes,
or
I would like the department heads, but I don't want to take, I feel that if we have the department heads come up with these wages and we don't have the funding mechanism for it, we've talked about doing a third, a third, a third. I feel like it's going to be wasting a lot of city resources. So I want to get a little bit of ahead and say where we are at with all of this together, and then a little bit of city direction. And if it be that whatever direction we choose through the budget process or right then and there, we can have that clear direction, because we need to know, first of all, who we're going to weigh ourselves against and what type of, how competitive we are going to be. Because if we go down a road and then we say on this salary survey we want to add one agency, it changes the entire thing. And it's just going to be a lot of time and effort put toward that. And in our last work session, we discussed doing a third, and a third, and we've come up with different ways of trying to make it cheaper. But is that really going to solve the problem? And I think going and just throwing money at anything is, I think we need to take our time and due diligence to do it correctly.
Good comment. Council, any other comments, questions?
Matt, What are you asking each department head to bring to the table?
The department heads, I would just want them, before it was to bring each salary of each position to me, so I could estimate a cost to it. Right now, I want just the direction of the council and which direction we're heading with it, because I see the lack of funding, and I see it more important to keep up with our current merit system than to do a global big change. And so I just want their support, but I also think that Jeff needs the opportunity to voice his concerns because he's bleeding. And I don't want to turn a blind eye to that.
So I guess I'm not confused about it, but I'm still like, so we gave direction to say, okay, we're going to do 2 departments, fire department was one, and it was confusion on what the second one was, be it Public Works or Parks and Rec. So are you asking us, do we still want to do the third, or are you saying, hey, let's stop and evaluate everything before
Yeah,
we
I
go
think
that?
I just want to avoid the confusion because internally, Jason brought to the council saying we have a plan to do everybody, and then we canceled that work session. Is that a plan that we want to do? There's a lot of data that goes, the reason why it was canceled is because of all the data behind it. The third is already been discussed prior in that previous work session, and I think it's a good plan. I think some of the feelings with Public Works is they were supposed to be the first, and when are they going to be if we continually put people in front of them? And I think that's the type of questions that we need to have answered, is as a staff and a city council, is to say which direction are we going to go? Are we going to, is the answer to help the fire department and fund that, or is the answer to do with the original plan and go that way? And then to also develop what is competitive, because we did that salary survey and it's suggesting that it is competitive, but is that? I think that's the major question, who we want to get rated against. And those type of, because really as a finance person, I can look forth and pretty much take the cities to our advantage and make what we want. And that's not the way we want to do it, is we just want to be fair with all people and come up with a fair way of doing it consistently year after year after year, so we're not heading down this road in the future.
So having said that, let me see if I can offer maybe an alternative. I'm sensing you would like us to either answer the question, should we look at the global perspective in terms of how it affects all the employees, which is kind of what we had at the last discussion, or whether or not we fall back to agreeable position we had in the past that the council says, let's take a third, and then we'll just cycle the third through the next 3 years. Which one would be determined to be in this first phase would really come from the city, and I think in reference to Jeff's issue, his situation, his might be the most likely one that should be considered given the leading that you talked about. I guess the question is would the city be prepared on the 5th to provide a look at both sides of this, and then give the council maybe a perspective? If we choose to go to the third, this is what it's going to be, this is what we're looking at, with the 2 big options or the 2 big organizations you think should be in that third. And for that matter, if we chose to go with what we were thinking about, raise the ceiling, the lower limit and the upper limits in terms of allowing then more of opportunity growth within that, that would affect everybody. And I think the question then would be is by looking at both options, the council could then make what appears to be a more informed decision of saying this may be able to meet both needs, or we focus our attention where the bleeding is taking place today. Is that something the city could do by the 5th?
The data behind it is where the biggest hiccup is that typically takes a couple of months to come up with that data. There's quite the process because every city isn't the same. The first thing we need to have is the cities that we want to compare ourselves against, and then from there you have to research what each position in these other cities do. There's a lot of subjective decisions in that as well, and that's kind of why we did the external survey, is because he put that all together with a logical explanation for it. But when we use that again, it's showing that we're comparable to other cities. because it takes more things into consideration. Sure, there is places here and there that needs adjusting according to that, but it's not a global problem. But I don't know how, I know Jeff would be opposed to that because the numbers would reflect that his competitive wage isn't what that's reflecting. And so that's kind of our hiccup. So if we had to come up with the data, there is data right there. And we can alter that data by adding the larger cities in. But is that something we're going to continue down the road? Because if we keep on altering who we survey against time after time after time, you're going to get a lot more fluctuation. And every time you get a lot of fluctuation, you're going to be handing out big raises. And then the next time you could have fluctuation on the down. I know Travis and Ross kind of looked at it, and they didn't even have all their positions. And so if you have a major outlayer in like a Layton City that's getting a way high wage and they don't have a particular position, that whole wage is going to decrease in that position. And is that fair to that employee? Because of that, the top paying city does not have this particular position. And that's the things that we have to work against because everything doesn't flow together. Then we also have the policy constraints of saying an EO1 gets a 5% raise to an EO2. They usually have the 5% spread, but does the data back into that? So there's all these different kind of considerations that we have to make. So it's just a little bit more deep than just saying, can we just pick some numbers and go with it?
Well, then
the only reason why I say February 5th is because Jeff's bleeding, and we want to either resolve it or come up with something for it.
The thing that I'm thinking about is I know Jeff has talked to, us as council members to talk about those numbers and his bleeding problem. And I feel like he needs to address this as a whole to have that opportunity for us as a body to be able to present what he's been thinking about and doing and for us to have an open conversation about it. I also feel that the other department heads, since we've had that work session, have had a chance to kind of think about what we kind of talked about, the third type of thing. And I know that there's been some kind of maybe questions or misunderstanding about what the direction we were going. So I kind of feel that this is at least a good opportunity for us as a body to be able to have another open discussion about, like you says, the direction that we want to go before we put more money and that into either the salary ranges or, looking at the salary survey or things like that. I feel it's good for us to have another open discussion about it and have Jeff have that opportunity.
Comments along that line?
Just kind of go with what Matt says. I mean, we can do it, but it won't be accurate if it's the way you want with comparable cities. Okay, right now we pull local cities around here. They compare us with Riverdale, South Ogden, which are half the size of us. It isn't comparable. Ogden City, which is twice the size of us, which isn't comparable. You go into Davis County, Layton is the same thing, more than 2 times bigger than us. So that's where I understand where he's saying our neighboring communities aren't comparable. Only one closest we talked about this would probably be Clearfield. So us in Clearfield, you'd have to find other cities with the same size, the same type of facilities, the same type of infrastructure in order to be fully compared. And that will take months is what he says. And then what you go through the whole process is comparable. But be aware of what he stated. There's already data to show that we are medium. We aren't the highest, we aren't the lowest. And that was kind of what we were shooting for from the get-go.
Something I was thinking of was longevity bonuses, that you put a bonus system in place that every year they work, they get a bonus, and the longer they're here, the bigger their bonus is. So you're not just giving them day-to-day money that they might say, hey, Salt Lake's better than that, I'm going to go there. But some type of longevity bonus is what I was thinking of, just an incentive to stay.
Right. I think these are all good discussions, and I think these are the kind of things that we need to, as a body with the department heads, so that we're all on the same page. And so they have to go back to their employees and let their employees know exactly where the direction the city's going. So we've all got to be on the same page. So bringing these ideas to the table, such as a longevity bonus or looking at the comparatives, or saying, okay, we're fine, we're comparable to these other cities. Maybe we just ride out a storm, or we just kind of see how our step that we put in place just kind of pans out in the next few years. I think these are things, though, as a body, we need to discuss with the department heads. And we can bring all of these, and you can bring some of these options that we've discussed to the meeting for us.
Are you okay with that idea?
Yeah.
And here's one other point, though, okay? I mean, yes, we've all agreed to do this, but yes, department heads do have their duty to say, we're bleeding here, we're doing this. Chief Marino did it last year. He had an urgency that we took care of. We helped him do that. Jeff's been trying to do this for months, and he's been put off for months.
No, I don't
And to
want
say, hey,
them off
Jeff, I'm putting you
anymore.
off a month, I don't feel good about doing that, because he's been asking it for quite a long time. And now we come into February, we might as well just say, okay, sorry, Jeff, mid-year's done and over with, we're working on next
Until
budget
next
year,
year.
which can go either way, but that isn't what he asked us to
Yep.
do.
And
I
that's
know
But
why
I
I
don't think we've
recognize
come,
that.
but we haven't come up with a plan for Jeff.
Jeff's
I mean-
had a plan, and we haven't been able to listen to it.
I
That's the
know,
problem.
that's why
Yeah.
I says he needs the opportunity to be able to present it
voice
to
that
us
plan.
as a body, as a whole. And I think it's a great opportunity for even, so that all the department heads too also know what what he's looking at. So there is transparency in, amongst all the department heads, so we all know where it's at and what decision we make, and we're all on the same page.
Okay. Do you have clarification enough from the city council then to be ready for the 5th of February?
Yeah,
I just
think
want to
so.
make
I
one
think-
thing. I'm a visual person, so I need to make sure there's a whiteboard or PowerPoint or something
Okay.
that I can see those numbers. I don't do math in my
Yeah,
head.
but to say that we're gonna be ready across the board and have every department in there, no. We can have Jeff present some stuff for himself, for the fire department, and then I can give some other ideas. We can kind of collaborate as the department heads and come up with some other ideas that we can go forth with as well.
Okay. We okay with that?
Matt, while you guys meet, I mean, I know we kind of agreed who we would pick, but I would like it better if you guys decide, okay, who's the second one to go up? You guys as a collective group, that way you could not have to have everybody there.
If we do a third, and a third, originally it was supposed to be Parks and Rec and Public Works. So if we keep on putting them back, like let's say,
Right.
what's gonna come next year? Is it gonna be
That's what
another
I'm
department
saying.
bleeding? Because I think in all fairness to Ross, he was first. And if we continue down that road, is he still first with Parks and Rec? That was actually designed for a reason, is because if you look at our pay scale, a lot of the Parks and Recs people make as much money. They're all on the same pay scale, so you don't have competition within the city of getting promotions. And so a lot of those things are by design, and it was actually split up by a third, and a third. If we take by a funding mechanism, if we take fire, it leaves about 16 extra people that would equate to a third of the city. Really, all that leaves is Parks and Rec or the administration department. But then again, we're bypassing that department, and what's to come next year?
That's what
Yeah.
worries me, is doing a third is a wonderful idea, but how do we know? I keep hearing rumors back there that a recession is coming somewhere, that we're due for one. And so that kind of worries me with our funding and having the funding to be able to support something and put something in place. So that's something that
Originally, we got to go back to the original vision was, okay, we took care of everybody.
we did,
Correct.
we did.
The next vision was, all right, salary survey, but not everybody all at once, because we can't afford it. We knew that.
Right.
So it was, all right, we'll take a third, we look at them, can we afford it? Are they medium? If they're medium, great, we're not in a problem. Next year, we look at the other two departments, are they the medium? Great, not a problem. If there was a problem, then we see if we could address it, afford to address it as the proper standing, and see what could happen from there.
And
I think
then,
that was the original vision. of
yeah,
the thing.
and with
That's
that being
exactly right.
said, then what is comparable? Because I think that's the question, because I can take that data and I can make a job look a little bit better than what it is in comparing it to other entities, depending on if they have a director or not over that position. There's all levels of education there. So there's a lot of that to say what is comparable. And
I think that's where we trust you, Matt, as the city manager and a former accountant, to say, okay, I know what's comparable, I know what's fair, and pick those and decide those and then bring that to us. Say, okay, this is what I picked, and then give that up to us and let us talk it out.
Yeah, and I can do that as well. That would be a little bit more timely, but what I want to do is make a consistent formula that next year we're not going to have the fluctuations. And I can make that discretion too.
I think that's
And
good.
I'm fine with that
If you
discretion.
make that,
Yep.
you do that, and that's fair, but also to the point of the fire chief, yes, we owe it to him to hear out what he has to say. Because there are gonna be times department heads are gonna say, hey, I'm just dying over here. I know we're on this meeting. I want you guys to listen to what I have to say. And I think that's what Jeff's asking from us, and that's okay. I'm not saying we treat it separate, because that's not what we asked for, but give him the opportunity to speak of what his concerns he's got going on in his department.
Okay, so would it be okay to have a meeting and then just have Jeff present just that?
His part of it.
His part of it, and then we
But
can
I'd like to kind of get
come
an
up with
idea in that
something else.
conversation, if we
Yeah.
can, to understand the broader perspective in terms of how we approach it in the future, because
And some
because we're going to be
options.
doing this over and over again.
Yep.
And so let's explore that. But are you okay with the information you got from the council on this? You think you'd be ready by the 5th?
Yeah.
It's really important you make sure you're convinced you're ready, because if you're not, then meeting just to meet is not necessarily in the best interest to you or
Correct.
the
I
council.
feel so as well.
Okay.
So we'll
5th
just
of,
focus on mainly fire there and then go forth.
But we
And
kind of need
some-
your vision in terms of how
Yeah.
we go to the future,
Correct, yeah.
because that's important.
Future
I agree with
comparable
that.
cities, what you
Yeah.
wanna use,
Yep.
okay?
Okay. So that'll be the 5th of February, right after city council. We'll have a workshop, and we'll finish this discussion. That work for you, Jeff? Yeah, that's great. Okay, perfect. Okay, anything else? The city manager's report?
Yeah, so, I don't know if Glenda's here. Last meeting, Jason spoke about Glenda doing the blessing box out there, and I just wanted everybody to know it's completed. It looks great. It's on 3 posts, but it's a lot bigger. So if you have extra food, take it out there. I think it's a great thing that she's done for the city. On January 22nd, so that's a week from today, we have a joint work session with the council and with our planning commission, and we're going to be going over the general plan. We have a vendor coming in. The way I want to think of it is it's going to be a lot like the presentation from the transportation plan that we had. And so that's next week. Just plan on that. It's going to be at 5:30. This Thursday, we have a meeting with some people with the school for Municipal Park. And so we kind of want to get ahead of that, and we wanted to have a town hall meeting like we spoke about last time, but we're just delaying that out for the town hall meeting so we can meet with the school and see what their future plans of that school is.
Well, I think that would be great with a town hall meeting to involve the schools, so we need to know where the school's direction
Yeah,
is.
so Thursday, Travis has a meeting. Just didn't want anybody wondering where that town hall meeting was. Wanted to let you guys know about snow plowing. It takes around 8 to 12 hours to plow the city, and that's with 14 people. And that does not include the cul-de-sacs. So if you get complaints from residents, please know that we're working on it. It does take time. And so if you start doing cul-de-sacs, it just compounds that. But there is still that need after the snow is fell and that we're plowing, that you need to stay off the road so they can do their job.
I had a question about that, because there was a couple of people that asked, whether it was personal or in public forums, about them plowing down the center of the street and only doing the center of the street and not covering the whole path of the street. I have my own theories, but,
They should never just do the center of the street,
okay.
because it's round and our plows are straight, so they're not gonna get.
Well, there was some concerns that there were several places where that had happened, that they went just down the center of the street and they didn't go down and flip around and come back.
There should be 2 trucks going tandem and do one side of the road and then come back the other side. It might be 2 hours before they come back the other direction. but
Okay.
that's-
And with that, the comment, and Ross and I had a brief conversation on it, he hits the main arteries first, so the 4,800s, the 6,000s, the 4,000s, those are critical. 27 obviously because they're pulling out. And then we'll work as they can through the city until it's complete. But the main arteries will in fact be hit first, and that's important that they understand that, okay?
I mean, I know, from what I've seen, they've done an awesome job.
Yeah.
There was just some concerns. A few of the roads were only getting hit right down the middle.
Yeah. And I was, Ross did make a point for artification. His team actually got out and actually got to the, used to be unincorporated areas of Weber County within the city, now part of the city, and those roads, probably for the first time in many years, were plowed, which kind of helped to think that was pretty exciting for the people who live in those areas. So thank you, Ross. Thanks for your team making that happen. Okay?
Okay. And then the next thing I'd just like to talk about was we put out that job, the Management Services Director job, out in December and collected applications until January 2nd. We had a total of 22 applicants. I sent an email last week across the city directors and asked for kind of an interview board. And I had Chief Marino and Travis Flint, Abby Huffsletler with HR to represent, and Brody Flint on that committee. And we did interviews, the first round of interviews last Friday. So we're going in a good direction. We have things a little bit narrowed down, but we want to do a second interview to kind of buckle that down. But just know that that's going well. We did have some good applicants. We drew the line in the sand of saying who we were going to interview and who we weren't going to interview, of saying that they need to have municipal or county government accounting and budget, because the position is such that it's a working position and they have to understand those fundamental principles in order to fulfill that responsibility. So that's going good. I'm excited for the people that came in. I think we'll get somebody really solid in there. So, and I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Council, any comments, questions you might have?
Mayor, just the North Davis Sewer District will be doing some repair work this year in Roy City boundaries. We got to reline a section and probably repair another section. Any pre-construction meeting, we'll contact Ross, so he'll be involved, so we'll know that's going on.
Perfect.
So that will be happening.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Okay, anything else, Council?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Two really quick. A resident called me complaining about the mice that have been stirred up as a result of the Crestwood development down on 6,000.
Oh,
The bottom of 6,000.
Yeah. Like 28 mice, I think he said, in the span of a week he's caught.
Wow.
And so he isn't certain the city can do anything, but is there any pressure that we can put on the developer to say, hey, quit picking on those little critters? Anyway, I don't know what we can do, but that was made to me.
Roundup officer.
And
Yeah,
then,
that's
not to rehash what's already been discussed, but I work at Chick-fil-A in Layton, and I had
That
a
relates to the
couple.
mice and how?
There was a couple that came in from Roy, and they complained about that calming circle. And they said that they have witnessed, they live down there, and they have witnessed 2 illegal lefts that just about resulted in a crash.
I see it every morning.
And so I don't know what we can do about that. I know it's been discussed already, but I promised them I would share it.
Okay.
And that's it.
If I'm not sure, but Chief, I'm getting some feedback that indicates that your officers have in fact been ticketing at that location.
They've been down there, yes.
Yeah. And so they're monitoring that to see how it's unfolding, and I believe Ross was looking at some options in terms of whether what will take place in the future if it happens at all. But I think to your point, it's a very controversial, getting a lot of input. We got a lot to think about as we move forward with this based on the evidence and the information that we receive. So it'll be a good conversation in the future once we get ourselves in a position where I think we can make some solid decisions. Okay. Anything else, council? Nothing? Okay, then do I have a motion? I don't believe we have anything else. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you for your time, for joining us.